So I saw this article about a week ago, and I've been thinking about it ever since. This was a post, and I'm going to show you some other things too. It was July 16th, talking about how Japan just declared China the biggest threat to world order since World War II. Japan is declaring it a threat to world order since World War II. You know, Japan was one of the aggressors with Germany, right? There's some really weird parallels here between what Russia has done and what China is about to do or wants to do. And it's not Russia, not Iran, it's China that Japan is declaring the biggest threat. Well, isn't Russia a bigger threat? It's actively engaged with this. Not from Japan's point of view, because it's about to suck Japan into a world war or into at least a Pacific war if they do what they want to do. Their 2025 defense report is a wake-up call for the entire free world. Here's what it says and why it matters. So look for the parallels, and then look how they're connected, and you're going to see some things that you might not have seen before. By the way, this is TRADOC, the U.S. Army's Training and Doctrine Command. This is their paper on how China fights in large-scale combat operations. The United States government is thinking about within a year, 2 years maybe, we'll be at war with China. That is what they are gearing up towards because they see it coming. And okay, so that's the U.S. government. And then we have this, Japan's official 2025 defense white paper. China is the greatest strategic challenge to Japan has faced since World War II. Okay, it's been pretty peaceful for Japan since World War II. Part of that was by design. After World War II, the Japanese couldn't have weapons. They were essentially stripped of them, just like Germany was, so that they wouldn't be aggressive. And it worked. Japan is not saber-rattling. Germany has not been saber-rattling. But now Germany is reviving because they have to because of the Russian threat. Japan is reviving because they have to because of the Russian threat. China is the greatest strategic challenge that Japan has faced since World War II. This is the most direct language Tokyo has used in decades. The CCP, its aggression isn't just a regional issue, it's a global one. I think that's a fact. It is a global one. It's going to create problems for everyone if they actually go to it. Here's modern diplomacy. Japan's defense white paper 2025. Japan flags growing threats to the Indo-Pacific. And if you go into it, I pulled up to the page on that white paper where it talks about China. Listen to how similar this sounds to what Russia's doing. China's external posture, military activities, and other activities are a matter of serious concern for Japan and the international community, and they present an unprecedented and the greatest strategic challenge which Japan should respond with comprehensive national power in cooperation and collaboration with its ally and like-minded countries and others. They know they have to do something about this. For more than 30 years, China has sustained high-level growth of its defense budget without transparency. So they're looking at what China has been doing over time, and it's been moving this direction headlong. Engaging in broad and rapid improvement in military power in quantitative and qualitative terms with focus on nuclear, missile, naval, and air forces. And, we'd be fools to think that China is not paying attention to what's going on with Russia and Ukraine related to drones. And those drones are going to be attacking Taiwan in swarms on the way to attack. Well, it's not just going to be boats coming across to Taiwan. It'll be drones leading the charge. Okay, China has been intensifying its attacks across the entire region surrounding Japan, including the East China Sea. In 2024, series of incidents occurred including Chinese military aircraft intruding into Japan's territorial airspace. These things keep happening again and again. This is not accidental. This is saber-rattling. In May of 2025, a helicopter intruded Japan's territorial airspace after taking off from a China Coast Guard vessel that was intruding in Japan's territorial waters. Again, it's not unintentional. China has intensified its military activities around Taiwan. That's been clear. That's been all but that's just been harassment, trying to get a sense of what Taiwan is going to do to try to counter it. China has intensified its activities in the South China Sea based on assertions which are conflicting with existing orders of the seas and promoting the establishment of military bases. And they're harassing the Philippines, Taiwan, Japan. China is being very aggressive. This is what bullies do, and as long as you don't step up to them, they're going to keep doing it. China is further strengthening its cooperation with Russia. That's really the key here in military activities. And it's conducted joint bomber flights and naval operations with Russia in the vicinity of Japan. Now, I went and had the whole 100 some odd page document summarized to talk about how this relates to China and Russia. So, strategic challenge: China's actions pose an unprecedented and greatest strategic challenge to Japan and its allies. That's greater than Russia, and Russia's actively involved in fighting right now. Military expansion, continuous high-level defense budget growth over 30 years, regional activities in the South China Sea, the East China Sea, the Sea of Japan, multiple incidents where they're invading this territory and seeing how far they can cross that line. In Taiwan, there's an increased military exercises aimed to establish a fait accompli presence and improve combat capabilities. They want to overrun Taiwan and just hold it, and so that you can't undo it. And then U.S.-China competition, that's been brewing, not just economically, but thinking about military competition. Political, economic, military tensions with the U.S. are escalating, worsening the regional security balance. China and Russia are cooperating like never before, strengthened military ties with Russia near Japan, intended as a show of force. Now, let's look at Russia. This is from Japan. This is Japan's perspective of Russia. Military activities near Japan. They're doing these exercises. Strategic posture. They're expanding troop numbers and reorganizing military units under a strong state model. Cooperation with China. They're deepening their strategic partnership with China. And Russia's aggression against Ukraine is framed as a direct threat in the international order. That's from Japan's own assessment. So, okay, so it's China is the problem. Russia is the secondary problem. Okay, so what triggered all of this to happen? Well, Chinese jets and warships violating Japanese airspace, helicopters launched from fishing boats near Japan, Taiwan, surrounded by near constant military drills. There are fishermen outside of, just off of the coast of the Philippines in Filipino territorial waters harassed by the Chinese. And a 30-year military buildup, no transparency, and statements about aggression that have been going and going and going. So after 80 years, Japan is rearming fast. $69 billion defense budget. That is 1.8% of GDP, and it's going to be increasing, I'm pretty sure. Plans to reach 2% by 2027. New unified command for land, sea, and air. Massive upgrades to missile defenses, drones, and cyber. Biggest regional shift since the 1940s. Japan is bracing for what's coming next. It's just like Germany. Look, Germany's rearming for war with Russia. They're expecting this within the next year and a half. And we're expecting perhaps that this could even be a simultaneous thing in tandem where Russia pushes into Europe while China pushes into Taiwan. Who knows what'll happen, but they're bracing for that kind. The chairman of the commander of NATO was just talking about that. Again, Germany is rearming for war with Russia. How weird is that when you think back to World War II, that Germany and Japan were the bad guys, and now, wait a minute, they're our allies, I think? Yeah? Okay, Japan isn't alone. They're deepening military alliances with the U.S., with India, the Philippines, Indonesia, and Australia. The rise of an Indo-Pacific NATO, and China knows it. That's, I think, what's going to happen over time is that there's going to become a formation to a balance of power against China, and it's going to be caused by China trying to seize Taiwan if they do so. Why this matters for America: Japan is on the front lines of a coming conflict. If China invades Taiwan, Japan's automatically in the fight. That, it's just going to happen. Under Trump's leadership, they're building a coalition that can actually stop the war from happening. Hopefully, they can stop it before it becomes an actual war. And China's reaction, they're not happy about it. It's a total meltdown. Their foreign ministry accused Japan of interfering in internal affairs because they consider Taiwan part of their own land. Translation: they fear Japan is waking up, they fear the world is uniting, and they fear strength. Now, I want to take you to this map because this is really interesting. If we look at this map, we see, let's say the red powers here are the new axis. That is Russia, China, probably Iran, and certainly North Korea, because North Korea going with Russia because by a peace treaty. The others would be blue: the United States and Canada, most of Europe, but that would include Germany, not just the other parts of Europe. It's also Germany, and with that, you're going to have all these NATO powers involved in this. On the Well, that is assuming that Russia invades into NATO. And then you also have something that's really strange. Japan is going with that. Germany and Japan. And then you also see the Philippines again with Japan and Indonesia probably. And India, that's interesting because India is part of the BRICS, but they have no love loss for China. They're competitors with China and have border disputes periodically. Okay, so it's strange. Tell me what you think about what you saw here. I think China is. Yeah, I wouldn't say that they're the biggest threat. I think Russia right now is the biggest threat because they're on the ground actually doing fighting. But the biggest rising threat is certainly going to be China. Tell me what you think about that. Put that in the comments below. Thank you for your time, the likes, the shares, and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.